Turn to 3.
Positive rotation. Ignition. You guys have a nice flight. We'll see you back here.
Welcome to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast of the Illinois Air National Guard at Scott Air Force Base. I'm your host, Master Sergeant Brian Ellison. The Roll Call podcast focused on people, mission, and community. I know we have some folks out there deployed. Thanks for listening. Coming up, my conversation with Staff Sergeant Kyle Keasey from the 108th Air Refueling Squadron. Congratulations to the Illinois Air National Guard slow pitch softball team. They took third place at the 57th Air National Guard softball tournament in Toledo this past weekend. The team was made up of 126th Air Refueling Wing and 906th members, as well as the 182nd and Illinois State Air Guard members. Next year's tournament is in Delaware.
Imagine being able to be magically whisked away to Delaware. Hi, I'm in Delaware.
We have 2 personal financial counselors available to talk to for free. You can call them, text them, email them anytime to ask them questions. Anytime. I doubt they're going to be excited if you text them at 3 a.m. They'll help you with budgeting, options for financial assistance, TSP, even help compare that career move. Is it good for you? Is it bad for you? They can help you out with that. These free personal financial counselors. I keep telling myself, I'm going to call these guys or email these guys one of these days, but I am scared to have them look at my finances, honestly. You can talk to Drew Weckbach at 314-307-3300. That's you can email him at pfc.mo.nosc at zeiders.com. He can meet off base. He can meet during the week and during drill by request. I'll put these names up on in the comments in the show description. You can also contact Jonathan Bracewell, 618-304-7311. His email, pfc.scott, it's pfc.scott.usaf at zeiders.com. It's been a while since I've done a podcast. I know. pfc.scott.usaf at zeiders.com. Again, I'll put these links up in the description. He's located on base Monday through Friday. He's available during drill by request. That's Jonathan Bracewell. Again, those names and numbers are going up in the show comments. Coming up next, Staff Sergeant Kyle Keasey tells us about his transition from vehicle maintenance to becoming a boomer.
I'm Tech Sergeant Scoggins in the 126th Air National Guard Air Refueling Wing, and I'm an aerospace maintenance technician, a crew chief. So our job entails mostly, on a good day, inspections. We get the jet ready to leave, and then we catch it when it comes back. So we interact with the pilots there, and then if they have any issues, they tell us. We have to do an inspection, pre and post flight, to find any discrepancies. And if it's something we can fix on the spot, we do.
I'm Lieutenant Pippins, AMXS, Aircraft Maintenance, and I am the Aircraft Maintenance Officer. I am a supervisor of all the crew chiefs, so all the men and women that work hard every day out on the line to make sure that the 9 aircraft that we have here at Scott are ready to fly for the pilots. And I just make sure that they have everything that they need so that they can meet that mission every day.
One of the biggest benefits from working with the 126 would definitely be traveling. I've got to go to a lot of cool places for free to me. We get to go to Europe a lot. We're state partners with Poland, so we get Poland at least once or twice a year. It's nice. If you are in the unit, I recommend picking up that trip.
Thanks to joining the Guard, I've been able to get my bachelor's in kinesiology from the University of Illinois, and then I got my doctor of physical therapy from Southwest Baptist University. I'm a doctor of physical therapy on the civilian side. I work as an outpatient physical therapist. They're both completely different jobs, but completely rewarding. I work one-on-one mostly in my civilian career field, and then here I'm in charge of 50 people. So it's a much larger scale, but they're both provided me so much experience.
Staff Sergeant Kyle Keasey, a boomer with the 108th Air Refueling Squadron, is our guest. He's with the 126th Operations Group. Kyle, got to thank you for coming in. You're new to the boomer life.
I am, yeah. I did 6 or 7 years vehicle maintenance. Yeah. I first showed up as vehicle maintenance, so I didn't even really know about being a boom.
What do you like about that so far, being a new boomer?
The flying. It's pretty amazing. Like, the fact that we can actually put gas into anything that flies in the sky that's Air Force related is pretty impressive. Just the aviation in general is just awesome. Like seeing F-16s, F-15s, C-17s come up and get their gas. It's pretty incredible, really.
Yeah. What's been your favorite mission? Is there any favorite mission that stuck out yet in your new career as a boomer?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, of course, I'm going to be a little bit biased. Like the guard lifts are a lot of fun. That's when we get to go TDY and explore new places. So whenever LRS or ops or somebody needs to go somewhere, we can hop on one of our jets and we can take them pretty much anywhere in the world.
Yeah, you just came back from a TDY, right?
Yeah, several actually.
Did they ask you to volunteer, and you're like, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, they pretty much ask, like, if they need a boom, hey, there's a sign-up sheet for we call them bid sheets, and
okay,
hey, there's these TDYs and these trips on these days. What works for you? Can you go to these? And yeah, I'm all about it. Like,
nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to sign up for as much as I can and
awesome.
fly as much as I can too. But yeah, we just got back from Aviano, Italy, and then yesterday I just got back from Pease.
From where?
From Pease. It's
Pease?
in New Hampshire. Yeah, they got the KC-46 there.
Oh, yeah?
Pease, yeah, Pease Air Base.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I just never heard of it. What, did you do any training on the 46? Did you?
No, it was just a drop-off. So we actually flew into Canada, and we dropped off the Missouri National Guard out of Jefferson Barracks.
Oh, yeah?
They needed a ride, so we said that we could do it, and we went and dropped them off in Canada, and then we flew to Pease because I think it was going to be expensive to park the jet in Canada. So, yeah, we're just like, we'll just skip on over to Pease.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was nice. The weather up there is really nice. And then we just took LRS to Aviano a couple weeks ago, too, and that was really special. Like, Italy's beautiful.
Yeah, so, okay. I'm going to have to swap that mic out in a second. Yeah. So when you're when you go to drop off LRS, what do you do in the rest of the time? I have an idea, but you're training, right?
Yes, of course. Well, I mean, they have to make it at least somewhat, like, if we didn't get any time on the ground, no one would really sign up for the job because all we would do is drop them off and then fly back the next day.
Yeah, that could be a rough job, right?
Yeah, and so, like, I don't know, that wouldn't be that fun. So they give us a day or two on the ground.
Oh, cool.
And it's just, that's it. A day or two on the ground, the next day we're taking off. So.
Oh, you don't stay and wait for them? I always just kind of pictured you guys kind of staying and waiting for us.
It would be nice. It would. I wish, and then we could just hang out and do our thing. But no, it's. I think AMC only allows 4 days total when we're going outside of the U.S.
Oh, I see.
So we can only stay for like 2 days.
Oh.
And then by then it's wheels up, taking off, back home. So
man, then you got to do that trip again to go pick them up.
Exactly. And I actually did. I did the drop off and the pickup.
Are you guys refueling at all?
We can. We can. Sometimes they'll have like a leg over. Somebody needs gas to get over to the pond.
Right.
But it's not a common thing for us to do AR. But we can. We have done it before.
Huh.
So, yeah.
So it's not I don't want to call it a waste of time. I mean, you're still doing, that's part of your mission, right?
Yeah, it is part of our mission. And it's important, too, because we can go out and it's for LRS, for example, when I was in vehicle maintenance, I got to go on. They're called deployments for trainings, and
Right.
I got to go to
DFTs.
DFTs. I got to go to Aviano, and it's important to get out, in the Guard and explore active duty and different things, because vehicle maintenance here doesn't have 60Ks. They don't have stuff for us to work on
Right.
that we would see at other bases, even while deployed. So it's important to get that experience.
So you were vehicle maintenance. That's a good segue. You
Yeah.
were in vehicle maintenance, and you would go on these DFTs. What would you do when you got to like a place like Aviano to do your DFT as a vehicle maintainer?
So I would just do my job as a vehicle maintainer, but I would look for things specifically that we didn't have at vehicle maintenance. So I needed like AT forklifts to get signed off on one of those one time.
Oh, okay.
And we don't have an AT forklift here. And
Okay.
in order for me to do my job, I have to be able to know how to work on AT forklifts. Well, it's kind of hard for me to get signed off and learn the job if we don't have AT forklifts. So that was something that I did. I went and found an AT forklift, and they gave me the runaround on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So are they when you're at these DFTs? Are you falling in kind of with the regular the big Air Force guys?
Yeah,
And
precisely. We're falling in with active duty. We roll in on their schedule, and we just ask, hey, do you have any work for us? Is there anything, we have some things that we need to get knocked out. Can we knock these things out while we're here? And they're usually really cool about it. They're like, hey, yeah, we'll bring this in. We'll get this done for you. So
oh, that's cool.
there is, it's the mentality of work hard, play hard, right?
Right.
So you show up, you get what you need to get done. And then, hey, you got some time, go explore Italy.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I've never been up to that part of Italy. When I was stationed in Germany, I would go to Florence and Pisa a lot. That's a lot of fun, but that's on the other side of the country.
right, yeah. Aviano is right at the foothills of the Alps.
Yeah.
When you're landing, the mountains are right there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you can see it's kind of like a valley because it flattens out, and then you can see the mountains, and then if you look right, you can almost see the ocean too.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty intense.
So you were in vehicle maintenance, and you switched over to become a boomer, an air refueling specialist, I believe is the correct
terminology.
Yeah. What made you want to do that? And what made you want to do that?
So I really never knew about air refueling. I knew it was a thing,
Right.
but I didn't know that enlisted could do it. I always thought it was some officer doing it back there. And I actually ran into a friend who was a boomer a few years ago. His name was Kevin O'Reilly. And we were in SIUE together, and I noticed he had one of the flight name tags. And I was like, oh, are you a pilot?
Yeah.
You're in the unit. I see you got our patch. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm a boom operator. And then he worked for my dad under maintenance, and we just kind of became friends. And he was the one that got me into it. He was showing me all the pictures of what he was doing, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's.
I was like, and enlisted can do this? He's like, oh yeah, And I was like, man, all right, I gotta jump ship. That's pretty cool. I like maintenance and I like tinkering and stuff like that, but after a while, it's just you just need to switch something up every now and then. You have to go interview. They want to see you. They want to understand what you're all about. They want to make sure you get along with a crew, because that's the big thing in the plane. It's a crew aircraft, so they want to make sure that you're a likable person and that you can get along with people and stuff like that.
So yeah, that's part of the process of when did you put in your application or put that packet together?
So I was actually doing the math in my head. I think I interviewed right before COVID.
Really?
Yeah, right before COVID. So I interviewed before COVID, and then I didn't find out I got the job until the start of COVID.
Oh, okay.
And then I got kind of nervous because I was like, oh no, I wonder how this is going to affect my dates.
Right.
This is going to be not so good. And then you have to go through a flight physical too, which is way more in depth than just a normal PHA physical that you get during your years in. And you have to get a depth perception, and that's the big one that everyone fails on, or quote unquote.
Right.
Because the depth perception that they use it's an older test, so it doesn't do a good job of seeing if you do or don't have depth perception. in my opinion.
What's that test? I think I remember taking it, but I don't remember exactly what it is at one point in my career.
So everyone takes it when they go to MEPS.
Yeah.
I think MEPS is probably a better way to describe your physical that you get. But there's like 5 dots or 5 spheres, and one of them sticks out farther than the other.
Yeah, okay.
And the way you have to do it is like you kind of have to like contort your eyes a little bit.
Really?
And they don't tell you this at MEPS. So everyone usually fails it at MEPS because they're like, none of them stick out. You know, I remember I took it and they were like, which one sticks out? And I was like, none of them. Like, it's a joke. And they're like, no, they do. You just kind of have to look at it. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So I think I don't know if I failed it or passed it, but you have to go take it again. And like once you take it again and you understand the test, then I can kind of see how you would pass it. Like,
right.
Like, I mean, obviously I did, but so you have to take flight. You have to take the flight physical and you have to pass the depth perception, and they have to check your hearing and all that good stuff. So it's a little more in depth, but once you pass that, then you're good. That's like your gold ticket.
What do you? Well, is that after you go? Don't you have to go interview? I guess.
Yeah. So you interview first, and then
okay.
they see that they like you, and then you have to pass the flight physical. That's like a little nerve-wracking experience.
What I don't know. What is the? I mean, you said it was a little bit more in depth. I don't know. For some reason, I always picture it like in The Right Stuff, where those guys are going through all those tests. I'm sure it's not. They're not testing you in a spinny thing to see how you do with gravity. But
no, I mean, there's no they're not throwing you in the G machine and tossing you around. No, it's not like that. It's more just an in-depth physical. That's all it is. Like, it's a more in-depth. Just medical physical. Like they just want to see that your heart's good, your ears are good, your eyes are good. Oh yeah, that was another one too. The
do you have to have 20/20 vision to be a boomer?
You don't. You actually can have 20/20 corrected. So if you have glasses, you're fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as long as you have 20/20 correctable. So it's something like that. But they also they check for they do like like the thickness of your eyes. What is that called?
The pressure test?
In your eyes where they blow a puff of...
Yeah. That's always fun.
They test for...
it's glaucoma.
Glaucoma,
that's
it.
Glaucoma
Yes,
test.
the glaucoma test, yeah.
Yeah.
They test for that, and they do like a puff of air in your eyes. And I had issues with it because, like, I couldn't... You have to, like, look at the dot, and then they puff the air, and it's like, you can't blink.
Yeah.
You're blowing a puff of air in my eyes. I'm going to blink. And it was just, like, constant. They're like, you can't blink, you can't blink. And then finally they just dilated my eyes with, like, water drops. And they're like, yeah, you don't have glaucoma. And I was like, I kind of thought I didn't.
That is it doesn't hurt, but it's so shocking when you get it. It's just like, man.
Yeah, every time it's like, don't blink, and I'm like, I'm going to blink. You're blowing air into my eyes.
Yeah,
like I'm staying there, with my eyes,
can you hold
trying to hold my eyes? No, because it's like in this box,
yeah,
and it's frustrating.
So you go through that interview process. You go through the medical, and then they just get you a school date. Is that what you're waiting on?
Yeah.
Then?
So then school dates, and like any new guard guy that's trying to get in, and get school dates, it's always a hang up. Like,
right, yeah.
Active duty gets it first, and then the reserve, and then it's the guard. So, like, you're just playing the waiting game.
So what was school like for you?
It was, so you go back to Lackland, which is, it's kind of cool because it's full circle, right?
Right.
So that's where I started basic training, and, like, driving there, it was kind of like, that was my dorm right there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I was like, that's where I went to basic, and I was like, so that was cool. So you go back to Lackland, and it's called BBOC, and it's Basic Aircrew Fundamentals, basically, and that's kind of a washout course where they just fire hose the information at you. Like,
oh, okay.
It's basic stuff like what's an airplane, what's a wing, this is an aileron, this is a rudder, this is gear, stuff like that. But it's a lot of information, so. You have to get 85s on your test too. Wow. Because they don't want people to, like, they're saying is, like, nobody wants to be on a plane where the pilot is good 85% of the time.
Well, this is true.
Yeah. So that's their saying, and it makes sense. Like, you're held to a little bit of a higher standard, and that's the big washout. So people struggle with getting 85s and stuff. So I studied a lot. And then after that, you go to the boom fundamentals. That's another 2-week course.
Really?
Just in general. And that's all the booms, KC-46s,
Right.
KC-10s, and then KC-135s. And so you learn all 3 boom jobs.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it takes about 6 months to go through all the training, you think? Or
Yeah,
is
I
it
think
less
I
than
think
that?
it is actually right around 6. So it's about a month in San Antonio. And then
For that first course?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For that first course, and then you get sent to Altus Air Force Base, which is in Oklahoma City. It's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, it was when I was in the Army stationed at Fort Sill, we would bus up to Altus to fly in and out and stuff like that. And is that western Oklahoma, I guess?
Southwest. Yeah,
Southwest.
so
Well, yeah, because it's only like 45 minutes
from
Lawton,
Texas.
Yeah,
and it's south. It's like Texas is directly south. And like if you take out that panhandle of Oklahoma,
Right.
and it's just like a perfect rectangle, it would be in the bottom left corner of
Yeah.
Altus.
Yeah, I remember flying around there, and you'd
Of
see
Oklahoma.
those little hills all around it.
Yeah, they
Aren't-
were. What were they called?
They look so weird. It's
Is it the courts? No, it's not the courts.
yeah, I didn't know there was any name for it.
No, there's a name for it. It's and you drive through it and you're like, what are these mountains doing here?
Yeah,
It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And they don't even. There's like if you crawl up them, they're just a bunch of rocks. Like,
Right.
Just giant rocks, kind of like.
Oh,
stacked
really?
stacked on top of one another. I think it's quartz. Don't quote me on.
they look pretty cool from the air. It's just
Yeah,
like, really-
yeah.
yeah.
The flying there is interesting too because it's hot and it's really really windy.
Oh yeah, I know.
And like during the spring, I don't know what it is, but it's like wind is like 30 knots there. It's insane.
Right.
Yeah.
So that when you get to the Altus, are you up in the planes then?
No.
Refueling? Or?
No, so actually you learn the aircraft first. Like you learn basically everything from you learn the cockpit too, and then you learn everything from we say the boom operator knows everything basically from the latrine to the aft portion of the jet. So, and we even know stuff in the cockpit too. Like that's where we sit for takeoff and landings, we're backing up the pilots. But we go through class and we learn about the aircraft. We learn about how to drop flaps. We learn how to run a checklist and stuff like that.
Wow.
And then once you do all that and you learn the fundamentals of the aircraft, then we start. It's called sim phase, and that's
Okay.
when you hop in the simulator, and you have about 18 sims and then about 6 pre-flights that we
Okay.
do. And then after that, they check you off and they say, okay, you're good. And then you go to the flight line side, and that's about 4 weeks, and it's about 7 flights with a check ride. So it's pretty intense. That was about normal stay is
normal stay.
normal stay
I
is
sense a story.
about 4 months. But when I went through, CAE had a contracting year, and basically they didn't budget right. They cut it super short, and so there wasn't enough instructors. So I got stuck there for 8 months.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was rather boring at times because you're in Altus and there's really nothing to do. And there's just times where I just didn't have class because there wasn't enough instructors. So even the flight line side, they didn't have students rolling through just because they couldn't graduate classes quick enough to even push the students to the flight line.
So did they have you do anything? Mop floors,
Well,
buff.
I was prior service going
So you
in.
didn't have to do all that.
Yeah, so that was like the one saving grace. Like,
Right.
Because I was prior service, they didn't really bother you. They just, if you had to go somewhere, they just wanted to make sure that you'd be back at a certain time and stuff. And
That's cool.
yeah, so that was the nice part. But it was really when I got to the simulator phase, that's when it really slowed down. Because a sim would happen and I'd have like a week off. And then a sim would happen and then I'd have a week off. And I was like, man, at this rate, it's gonna be like 4 months and I have like 20 sims. And I was getting like one sim done like every 2 weeks.
Oh man, that's a bummer.
Yeah. And it was like hard too because like you just learned the 135. You just learned all this knowledge. And it's like now you want me to apply it and I have to go digging back stuff that you taught me that should be fresh in my mind, but now like it's losing it. And so I actively had to go in a few days and just get back in the books and read some things that was slipping my mind.
Right, sure.
That I got taught in February, and now it's July.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, wow. So, when you do, and I know at one point you guys have to do SEER or what have you. Is that a
that's a good point.
Is that the last thing you do before you come back?
That's usually the last thing you do. And sometimes it's, guard breaks up dates and stuff like
However,
that.
yeah, they can do
Yeah,
it
so I came back for about a month, and then I don't think I flew before SEER.
Oh, really?
But some people do fly before SEER, just if they do have a little bit of time in between. They want to use the time wisely. So, yeah, I came back, and then I went to SEER. And SEER is 2 weeks, and then they actually stripped the field portion of it, too.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, so there was a field portion where you go out and you learn survival techniques. Like that's like the big thing for SEER, right?
Yeah.
But now it's more of just of how to survive in like an imprisoned scenario and stuff.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's not not that fun, really. I mean,
really?
it's really
I thought it was a lot of I thought it was a lot of like swimming.
They do a water survival portion, and that's actually fun.
That seems like fun, yeah.
Yeah, so they drop you in a like a pool, and they got a bunch of different like scenarios. So they drag you through the water with a parachute on, and you actually have to grab your clips and like rip them out and stuff. And then they have like a downed airplane, so they'll drop like this giant plane in the pool, and you have to swim out of it and stuff. And it's actually quite interesting. Like there's some interesting stuff in that aspect. And then we have to learn how to like jump out of a plane too. So it's not like actual parachuting, but it's like the pre-parachuting.
Yeah.
Like how to land and how to get out of your harness and stuff.
So they don't teach. You never get to parachute. You never get to. You don't go to a jump school or anything like that.
They did at one point. They did. So all in all, I think it is about 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
When did you come back? When did you come back to the wing finally?
Well, like I said, mine was 8. So I left in December of 21, and I didn't get back until September of 22. Or no.
December of 2020.
Yeah, December of 2020. Then see, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Then 2021, and then
right.
September of 21, and now it's 2022. So yeah.
Wow. So you go to you are you still in SIUE?
No, I actually graduated from SIUE in 2019.
Oh, okay. So that didn't interfere with your schooling. That's great.
I finished my history degree there.
Oh, so you have a history degree. That's awesome.
Yes,
love
I do.
That. I love history. I was going to get at my history degree instead. I think I was more interested in the political side of history, so I got a political science degree.
Yeah.
That encompasses a lot of history as well.
Yeah, it does. And I actually had to take a bunch of political science courses to have a history degree. So it's kind of one of the same in a way.
What do they teach you in what does a history degree what do they teach you? I mean, obviously they teach you history, but there's got to be more to like, is it a lot of, do they teach you how to research history or how to write about history?
It's really just how to research and analyze history.
Oh, okay.
It's more of the meat and potatoes. So like my history thesis, you had to come up with something, you had to come up with a historical topic that wasn't well known that you could argue about, right? Because history is basically how you interpret it, essentially, right? History is written by the victors.
Right.
So you have to find a topic that's arguable and then argue your thesis about it.
And that's for a bachelor's?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my thesis was about 25 pages. Yeah.
What did you write about?
So I'm a big World War II buff, so
right.
I wrote about the technology they used in Kursk and how the Russians were able to use their technology to technology was the sole premise of like the Battle of Kursk.
Really?
Yeah, so it's a giant tank, the biggest tank battle that happened I think in history actually.
And that's Kursk is the south.
It's in the Ukraine.
It's in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Is that what they call the battle of the what is that?
It's the largest tank battle.
The largest tank battle, yeah. I guess that's not the one I'm thinking of. I know they were talking about there's one like you're still walking on bones and they're still finding bones. I think it's a different battle.
And I guarantee you could still find bones in there too.
Yeah. I didn't know Russians had technology. I mean, honestly. In
That's
World
what
War
I
II,
said. That was my argument. So the Germans basically they put in way too much technology into their vehicles, and it's like the argument of quantity over quality, right?
Right.
So they went with quality, excuse me.
Right.
And the Russians went with quantity.
Sure.
Simple vehicles, simple tanks that you could spit out and just chug at the machine, essentially.
Wow.
Yeah. So that I used, different first person perspectives on the battle. And
But you're now putting that to use as, I guess you would be, I don't know, are you the backup, the alternate for the wing history?
yeah, I'm trying.
Are the wing historian, I guess, at this point?
For right now, I'm mostly just putting up the morale back on the walls and getting the old squadron history back together at the 108th. We didn't have anything up on the walls, and I came in and I was like, where's all of our cool pictures? And they're like, oh, well, here you go, here's a job.
That's nice. What was the 108th? I always forget. Were they a weather? What were they?
Oh, so okay, yeah. So we were an observation squadron.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, so we started as an observation squadron, and then we went after World War II. We went to a bombardment squadron.
And you guys weren't, but they weren't were they a regular Air Force unit, or were they like a guard unit then?
So
someplace else.
Yeah, we were in Chicago. That's where we
started.
The
108th was in Chicago.
That's where we started. So we were in Chicago first, and then we transitioned down here in '99.
Right.
So, but we had Keasey 97s before that, and that was in July of 1976 is when we got rid of our Keasey 97s and switched over to the 135.
Wow.
But before that, we flew the B-26 Invader, and that was over
as the 108th or
as the 108th. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know
that. Was in that was over near at the end of the World War II / Korean War, and then we flew a bunch of obscure observation planes. Like some of the planes that I was looking up, I don't even know, like the O-2H. I had to look up what these planes were.
Really?
Small observation planes. The O-38 and the B-18 was added in. Yeah. So
when did they fall under the 126?
I think we merged sometime in Chicago, because we used to be the guard for several different states, Wisconsin and Indiana, I believe, too.
So as a new boom, do you fly more than other boomers?
Yes, yeah, for sure. When you get back to the wing, you're put in another training folder, and it's a lot. You're flying about twice a week.
So when you go on, how much preparation do you guys, as a boomer, go through before you guys even take off?
We do a pre-flight before we take off, but before that we brief like weather. We brief what we're refueling, so air speeds and how many pumps we can use on the 135, and how many, if they're getting gas. Like sometimes we go up and we do missions where they don't even get gas. It's just dry contacts, and then from there we go and we pre-flight the jet and then take off and do our mission.
What made you choose the Illinois Air National Guard?
My dad was the maintenance commander of the MXG over.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was maintenance commander, and before that, he was actually in ops, he was a navigator on the 135 back when they had navigators, and I wanted to be a Marine, like back in the day. I don't know. It just sounds appealing.
It looks cool.
It looks cool, right?
Right.
And then he was just like, "Why don't you just go talk to the guard?" So I talked to the guard, and I was like, "Okay, this sounds pretty cool." So I was like, all right, I'll do maintenance in the guard. I think that'll be cool, and you can go to school and get your job paid for,
right?
Or get your school paid for. So that sounded really appealing to me, and I just went from there.
What made you? Any reason particular that made you want to choose the 126? I mean, besides, hey, my dad's in the unit.
No, I mean, really, that's really kind of the sole reason. Like, it was local. It's right there. I wanted to go to SIUE, and getting to and from drill would be super easy. Was super easy. It's like, 30-minute drive from SIUE.
Right.
So
your dad, your dad was in the 126th his whole career,
or? So he started active duty, I believe, and he was at Castle Air Force Base for 3 years.
Okay.
And then he chased out of it. They offered him early outs, and he took an early out. And then he had a friend that was in the 108th, I believe, in Chicago.
Okay.
And then he took a job as a navigator in the 108th in Chicago and started flying there. And we were up there. I was actually born in Chicago. So
we won't hold it against you.
Yeah, right. I'm still a Cardinals fan.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
You didn't get any of that filth.
No. I was too young. Yeah. Yeah. And so I was born in Chicago, and then from there, when we moved down in '99, we came to Edwardsville, and then from there, it's pretty much just history. Then it's definitely one of the well-kept secrets of the military.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Especially like AGRs and stuff like that. Like those are even like the inner circle kind of.
Yeah, I always thought of so what happens after drill? Does everybody go home for a month and it just collects dust? And I didn't realize that. Yeah, AGRs.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like, everyone just leaves their equipment around, and then that's it. Yeah. AGRs and technicians kind of run the show,
right?
And then when drill weekends come, it's hey, it's go time. Yeah.
What do you guys do? So I know boomers, you guys don't really fly on drill weekends. What are you guys doing on drill weekends?
Oh, it's a lot of the medical appointments, things you got to catch up on, paperwork and stuff like that. But we actually have AFTPs, so we have to stay current in the jet, right?
Right. So
we can come out here and we can pull AFTPs, and I think we have about 25 days a semester. Yeah, or a quarter, 25 days a quarter. Oh, wow. It's a little weird how it works, but you get about 25 days, and you can pull those days to stay current in the jet so that you don't lose your currencies and stay proficient while flying.
Right. So when you actually fly the plane, right, at some point. I mean, you're controlling the plane.
A part of the plane. I'm controlling a part of the plane, which is the boom, right?
Right.
Because I'm up in the seats. I'm in an old nav seat.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I like to say I took over my dad's job.
But when you're back there on the ailerons, you can slow and speed the plane up, is that right?
Kinda. So they're called ruddervators.
Oh, ruddervators, okay.
And so yes, when you lower the boom, it will slow the plane down just because you're putting more drag on the plane, right?
Right.
So yeah, in a way you can control the plane. And if you throw the boom left or right, you can actually kind of feel the plane move with the boom too.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it's interesting in that aspect of flying, but it's kind of a stretch to say I fly. Right.
I know Chief Latimer was like, he said the boomers are considered one of the last enlisted aviators.
Yeah, I mean we're definitely up there in terms of flying the empennage of a plane. So, yeah.
That's a big word. What's that empennage?
An empennage, it's a...
I thought it was something you eat.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an empanada.
No, yeah, right. An empennage is just an extended part of the plane.
Ah, so I see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
So
cool.
like the tail empennage. It's one of the fancier words, I think. I'd have to look it up. That's what I was just taught in boom school. It's an empennage.
It's an empennage. That's awesome. So you talked about all these TDYs and places you've gone. Any place in particular that you liked more than the other?
Ooh. Like they both have their pros, not so much cons. I don't really like a place that I go.
There's not,
But I really like places that I thought were really interesting. I lived in Germany for 2 years, so that was when my dad he got a job out there. But I thought Japan had the wow factor. So we went to Tokyo 1 year.
That would be cool.
And that had the wow factor as in like culture shock, the food. I love Asian food. So like the food was amazing out there. And I just thought just the whole layout of Japan was just really interesting.
Really?
So I thought Japan definitely had I would go back 100%.
Cool.
Yeah, had the wow factor for that.
I would love to go to be in a place like Tokyo or something just to see what, because Tokyo just seems wild.
Yeah, it's insane. Like how packed in everything is.
Right.
And just like the lifestyle people live, it's all smaller, right?
It's so weird.
We're used to America with our big SUVs and being spread out and all the land, but it's an island country, so an island country, so you have to. Space is limited.
That's Staff Sergeant Kyle Keasey, a boomer from the 108th Air Refueling Squadron. I appreciate you coming by and hanging out with me today.
Appreciate you having me. It's been fun.
With your look around the Air Force, I'm Airman First Class Sayomi Sabornin. Airmen and Guardians feeling the impact of rising inflation are getting some help. The department is looking closely at compensation and PCS entitlements and providing support for personal finance readiness and food insecurity aid. For airmen who are moving, installations can request temporary lodging expense extensions, and DoD increased the mileage rate for PCS and TDY travel. Airmen and Family Readiness Centers provide financial education, and the Air Force Aid Society can help with emergency funds for some specific needs. President Joe Biden recently awarded retired Brigadier General Wilma Vaught the Presidential Medal of Freedom at a White House ceremony.
Wilma is one of the most decorated women ever to serve in the United States military. She enlisted in the 1950s because she wanted to be a leader. She did that and more, becoming the first woman in almost every leadership role she held in nearly 30 years in uniform, shattering conventions, shaping a new tradition of our military. And she couldn't stop after retirement. She led to the creation of the Women's Military Service for America Memorial and the Gateway of Arlington National Cemetery, the first museum of its kind, so that we may know and be inspired by not just her story, but by the stories of millions of women who served this nation in uniform.
The President recognized Vaught for breaking down gender barriers, helping to shape new opportunities for service members. The next generation of fighter and bomber pilots will learn to fly in the advanced T-7A Red Hawk, a fifth-generation trainer jet. The Air Force Installation and Mission Support Center has approval to move forward with a major construction project supporting the new aircraft and training mission at Joint Base Randolph, San Antonio, Texas. The project will create the infrastructure needed for the T-7A Red Hawk. The go-ahead comes after completion of an environmental impact statement for the work. And that's your look around the Air Force.
Sign up is going on now for a runner's clinic that begins August 22nd and runs through October 13th. It will help you build speed, endurance, and help you improve your running time. They say the average improvement is a minute 30. To register, you can email Heather Brondmeyer. Her email is heather.l.brondmeyer.civ@mail.mil. The running clinic is open to all active duty, Air Guard, and reservists. If you're having thoughts of suicide or know someone in crisis, you can now dial 988 on your phone. That's 988. When the phone rings, press 1. There is a chat lifeline. You can chat through their website at suicidepreventionlifeline.org. That's suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Another way to get help is through the crisis line. Text HELP to 838-255. The crisis text line, again, you got to text HELP to 838-255. But again, that phone number is 988. That's it. 988. When it answers, press 1. That'll take you to that's for military. You can find all of our links on Linktree. That's linktr.ee/126. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can download this on your favorite podcast app. If you want to pass along some information, you can email roll call at 126.arw.pa.mm.org@us.500 stable.af.mil. Thanks for listening to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast focused on people, mission, and community. I'm Master Sergeant Brian Ellison.
100, 50, 30, 20, 10.